Today, Arahi releases his debut EP, Revelator. The 4-song collection was produced by Dave Kahn and recorded at Roundhead Studios here in Auckland. Although the music is stripped down and intimate, Arahi will present the songs live this Sunday with a 9-piece band as part of an ambitious live theater performance that will close out the Hawke's Bay Arts Festival. Here he is to tell us all about it.
My baby's like a hurricane.
On Sunday, I'm doing a big show at the Hawke's Bay Opera House.
Right.
So I'm kind of in the thick of making that happen as a release show, you know. So
Gotcha. And that's with a big 9-piece band, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of us, which makes for a logistical nightmare, you know. But
Right.
But yeah, there's a lot of us, and we're kind of doing this thing where, because with the EP, it's my first kind of body of work that I can actually that can cater to a narrative, you know,
Right.
rather than singles don't really have that luxury. But with the EP, you can just really dive deep into what's the story, how can we make this like a holistically or like a cohesive kind of body of work. And with the show on Sunday, we've scripted a whole theatre play that kind of ties it all in together. So the songs that are being released tomorrow are just sort of the tip of the iceberg, you know?
Right, because there are only 4 songs, and I'm assuming the show on the Sunday is going to be longer than 20 minutes. So,
Yeah.
so what have you had to do to get, because it's kind of like a live theater performance rather than a concert, isn't it?
Yeah. So our premise for it is really, it's a show of 2 halves, and the first half is about revelation, and that's the first. We'll be playing the new tracks from the EP.
Right.
In between those tunes, there'll be kind of theatre interludes with the actors performing this narrative that kind of ties it all in together. And that becomes the first half, which talks about the road to sort of redemption, sort of. I read a lot in making this. I read a lot about kind of the Book of Revelation. I guess there was a lot of kind of parallels there, and the theatre and the EP kind of tells the story of beginning at Revelation and then finding its way to redemption. Really.
Okay.
So then the second half of the show is that redemption part, and that's kind of full noise, full band, almost our a sign of what's to come for the summer, you know, like our summer festival type step. Yeah, that's sort of the gist of it.
Sounds interesting. So there was script. So how many actors and all extras are involved in this thing?
Well, there's only 2 actors playing these 2 kind of contrasting characters.
Okay.
One being sort of a cynical kind of person who's sort of been through a lot, seen it all type person, and is kind of like speaking to this younger kid who's a bit bright-eyed and very ambitious. And the cynical character is sort of like, you know, don't even try. You might as well just, you know, just exist in your life and, you know, don't aspire for anything. There's no use, basically. And then it's just the story of them kind of battling against each other or sharing their perspectives and, and where that ends up. Yeah.
All right. So you must have a quite an interest in theater and acting. Do you have any experience in that?
No. I have no.
You're kidding me.
Yeah. This is my first kind of. I mean, it's always in my head. It's always been theater, the music stuff. But I have no actual practical. I've done dramatic, theatrical stuff, but not actually any theater stuff.
All right,
but it'll be great. It'll be fun. Yeah.
So having listened to the EP and your other stuff, I mean, your songs are pretty intimate and stripped down and pared down. So what did you have to do to prepare to play with this huge band that you've got?
A lot of the time when I play my songs, I'm covering a lot of bases. It's just sort of how I started out years and years ago playing in a blues trio, and I was the guitarist and vocalist, and that was my first kind of introduction into playing music, which makes you become a musician who is trying to fill spaces, is trying to do everything, because there's only three of you. You're playing guitar. So when it came to this sort of show, I thought I'd step away from instruments. I'd step away from trying to fill spaces and kind of just get everybody in the band doing one, allocated bit, and not compromise on, if there's something in the tune, in the recording, in the studio version. I don't want to, just because we have the luxury of it being a show in our hometown with so many musicians, I don't want to compromise on this one, and I want to get, there's maybe just one section with hand claps or something. There's
a triangle.
There'll be a hand. There's a triangle. There's a guy, So so with the big band, it was great to be able to just allocate those little, even seemingly insignificant bits,
Right. And so, with speaking of theater and all that, I think you've kind of referred to the fact that there's a narrative that kind of runs through the songs of the EP. I don't hear a particular story per se, but what does that mean? What will listeners hear and tie that will tie them together for them?
Well, hopefully, I mean, the songs. All the songs I write are always just based in storytelling. That's where it sits for me. It's always just a story, telling the story, and kind of creating this world, for each song. And I don't think it's sort of like the songs on their own, or even the EP on its own, has this vague narrative that you can feel, but there's nothing too tangible, because you kind of run the risk of because you don't want to close your access, the accessibility to listeners,
Yep.
So I don't want to be too tangible or too.
Right. You don't want to paint the picture for them. Let them paint it themselves.
Yeah, exactly. So the feelings there, and the emotions there, and the general direction, and then it's onto them. Once songs are released, it's like, it's yours now.
Gotcha.
It's not really...
So there's 4 songs. 2 of them have already been released. My Baby's Like a Hurricane and Her Love's Gonna Tear Me Apart. But maybe you can just, without giving away too much and painting too much of a picture, what can you tell me about the other 2? There's one called Everything's About to Change.
The world, she knows that everything's about to change. Everything's about to change. Everything's about to change. Everything's about to change.
Yeah, so that's the opening track of the EP. Everything's About to Change. That song, I always see that song for me always just paints a location. I always just see a place for that one. I never was too close with that song. I think I never wrote it as if I lived it. I always thought, this is a thing happening maybe in the future, or I was never too close with that song, and it was one of those ones that just kind of pass through you. They just kind of come and away they go.
And it made it onto the EP, so it must have connected to you on some level.
I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, that everything's about to change. Well, of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah. it makes so it's super versatile,
Right.
of a tune,
Yeah. And the other one is The Worst Is Yet to Come, which is quite a lengthy track, and it builds up. It's got some saxophone, it sounds like, at the end of it. And you worked. I assume you worked on all these with Dave Kahn. So, what did you put together there?
Yeah, Worst Is Yet to Come. That's a fun one to have written and to make and to play. It's great. These songs are great for just tapping into a little bit of your character that maybe doesn't see the light of day too much,
Sure.
Just a bit of yourself that you don't really want to indulge in, but for the song you can just feel free to be however you like. And with Dave Kahn, I mean, yeah, all of these tunes are super Dave Kahn orientated. I don't know whether that's on purpose or on my part or just how it happened, but yeah, with Worst Is Yet to Come, we had a lot of fun in the studio with a lot of that really gritty Dave Kahn guitar, really atmospheric stuff happening, and really dark brooding.
Yep, it does start out dark, but then something happens at the end. And who's playing the saxophone?
That's my saxophone player is Anton Watts, who actually taught me in high school. He was my jazz band leader when I was like 14 or something.
Right.
And now we play together a lot, and we had this because these songs are the way I write is I write the tunes and we road test them before we record them. So they're always played live for years before we actually record them how we like them. And the first time we played this one about 2 years ago, Worst Is Yet to Come, I remember he just became possessed at the end of it on his saxophone and kind of just went,
woohoo!
Yeah, just blew the roof off the place. And we sort of had to capture that. I really wanted to capture that manic feeling for this tune in the studio, and it's sometimes hard to recapture that that live thing. But yeah, we did some crazy effects, ran some crazy effects, did some free jazz stuff, and basically had him looping saxophone above saxophone over saxophone, doing
cool
stupid stuff. Yeah.
And is he going to be in your 9-piece band on Sunday?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's got a whole horn section to work with because he kind of takes care of that. So that'll be a lot of fun.
So it sounds like it's a pretty big production to have just as a one-off. Are there plans to take it on the road?
Yeah, well, ideally, this is a test. Really, we want to do this show, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to be pretty awesome. And then I'd love to take it to. The only way it's going to work is if we take it to other arts festivals.
Sure.
This is a part of Hawke's Bay Arts Festival, and that's sort of the only thing that in this country that can cater to that type of production. I think.
Yep.
That's viable. So it'd be great to tour arts festivals across the country next year or something like that.
Yep. Gotcha. Cool. So when you're worried in advance about whether it works or not, what does that mean? Are you worried that the audience won't like it, that you won't like what happens, that something could go terribly wrong? What are you concerned about?
I'm usually thinking, I hope I've thought of everything.
Fair enough.
I hope there doesn't come a time when we get on stage and no one thought to put this thing where it needs to be, because
right.
there's just little things that I'm like, I really hope I've thought of everything. But then if I think about the days when I was playing pubs and clubs and things like that with just, house amps that barely worked and drum kits that were barely together. And
Yep.
I used to have a saying with my old band, and we used to say, as long as we make sound.
Yep.
As long as we make sound, we're all right, So I can get caught up in hoping I have everything in order, but really, as long as we can make sound.
I would imagine with 10 of you on stage, you should be able to pull that off.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All righty. Well, I hope you bring it around, because I'd love to see what this is going to look and sound like. Very cool. So we'll have to hear how it all goes. In the meantime, good luck. Have fun tomorrow with the record out.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yep. And hope to see you up here again sometime.
That'd be great.
Yep. We'll see you. Have a good one.
Good
Bye.
to chat. Yeah. Bye.